Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City!
Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there, all right at the back. How are we doing? We're still here. That's something. I must admit, every time I've heard a noise in the last 5 or 10 minutes, I didn't know whether there was a bomb dropping outside my door or I got feedback from Dan farting. It was one or the other. It was one or the other. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Leicester Till I Die TV. If you're watching on the YouTube, please get over, give us a subscribe and smash the likes on the video. Thank you very much. And if you're listening to this on catch up on Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Apple in podcast form, thank you very much for listening. I've got to start with this today.
Leicester City FC on this day in history with Leicester Till I Die TV.
And because on the 28th of February 1981, and Craig will remember this well, and I've got to mention this because Steve Lynix, who obviously comes onto the station here and helps us an awful lot, and my thanks to him for the time he gives up, but he was on target for Leicester City in a 1-1 draw against East Midlands rivals Nottingham Forest. Oh my God, how much could we have done with him the other week? This is the preview show. Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event of the evening. 60 minutes of football fun and banter with Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV. Are you ready? Let's get ready to rumble.
And somebody that's always ready to rumble is Craig.
Oh, how you doing, Chris? Hello, everyone.
I am very well. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. I was just having a little chuckle at your ticker tape and running under the screen.
Breaking news, apparently. Yeah. It's official. If it's on Leicester Till I Die TV, it's got to be official. That's what I say. And we're gonna bring him in. Of course, it's the match tomorrow. Burnley, they're hosting us. We owe them, don't we? We owe them after they were lucky last time. And we'll bring him in. Dan the man, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, Mosh. How are you?
I am very good, very good. And I say I'm sorry, but the news about Max there, I thought he'd be fit, but apparently not.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. The Dash likes to keep his cards close to his chest. 1 minute he'll say one thing and then spring a surprise. Yeah. I mean, hopefully he's back. Hopefully he's going to be back and in contention. Not to start, but fingers crossed we'll see a cameo from him at least.
I think the words we're looking for is head over gone, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't know. Have you got your glasses on there, mate? You might maybe put them on.
Now.
Have a read of the banner across the bottom while I say a few hellos. Blue Podcast, hello, how the devil are you? Scott, hello, Chris, hope you well. Very good, hope you are as well. Miss Musgrove, hello, how are you? And she reminded me, I must say a special hello to Mrs. Riley. Hello, Mrs. Riley, who sent me a very personal message the other night. I think she was pissed, but it was most welcome, Mrs. Riley. Thank you very much. Niall, hello, sir.
Riley?
Sorry?
Was it old Mother Riley?
Well, it's Dan's mom, so be careful what you say.
Definitely. You're spot on, Craig.
Exactly. There you go. See?
She's been called worse, I'm sure.
Yeah.
mostly by Dan, if truth be known. Niall, how are you? Scott, he's well. Hope you're all okay. Or White Chris says Niall. Yeah. Niall says, where's the glasses? Well, he hadn't got them on, so he couldn't find them, could he? Boom, boom. All right, Chris and Chris, Daniel and Craig. And hello, Kay. Everybody's saying hello. And David, good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us. How the devil are you? We're all kind of well. Well, two lots of breaking news, really, because you've got the breaking news there about, Max's injury, that, but he will apparently be fit enough to drag himself onto the pitch bum first. But there's also, we have a new mascot. Filbert Fox isn't able to make it. I mean, we've suffered with injuries this season, haven't we, Craig? But Filbert Fox has come down with injuries as well. So we do have a new mascot.
For a minute, I thought you'd got a ticket to game, Chris, and I were expecting Forry and Fox to make an appearance.
No, and I'm not taking the piss, honestly. But those of you that know Daniel will know, give him a corner. As the old joke goes, how do you confuse Daniel? Put him in a barrel and tell him to wee in the corner. It works every time. First of all, quick, sort of, as you can see there, we've got the blue and yellow going on, and our thoughts are with everybody in Ukraine this evening. And I'm glad to see that football has finally seen sense and caught up with the rest of the people in banning them. So our thoughts are with, as I say, the people of Ukraine this evening.
Well said, Craig. Chris.
Thank you very much. Craig, I'll come to you first. I kind of would have preferred this to have gone ahead when it was supposed to, because Burnley are in a bit of form at the moment.
They are in a bit of form by their standards. And I don't mean that.
Oh, that's like somebody coming up behind you and just jabbing you in the neck.
No, they've. I mean, we always know that Burnley are solid, and usually, if you have a little blip, you're going to get it right sooner or later, because with you, it's more about the system than the players, and I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Yeah,
once everybody buys into that and you get the right players in the system, then you're going to be competitive in most games, aren't you? So it's rarely that you get turned over. So it would have been nice when you had a few other players out, but yeah, you're looking the Burnley of old, not the sort of Europa League Burnley, but the Burnley who's usually pretty safe in the league.
And you've been saying this all season, Dan, that you're a second half of the season club. And maybe the last few years you have, but I mean, you've dragged yourself from the bottom, and I know you got games in hand, but you've got to win them. I'm looking now, and the form that Everton and Leeds are in, and even Brentford, you've got to be confident of probably actually staying up. I think you might actually do it.
Yeah, I mean, I won't count my blessings, to be fair. I mean, I'll probably say I'm 50-50 still, because all it takes is a couple of knocks, a couple of injuries. I mean, we saw in that first half on the watch along, Chris, but it just wasn't. Burnley had a good first spell in the first 10 minutes, but after that, they were peppered by Palace all game. Apart from when the second half kicked off, they put a bit more fight in, got the equaliser, and then sat back and defended for their life. So I think in recent weeks we've had quite a lot of games, sort of championship schedule. Midweek weekend. After this we've got Chelsea on the Saturday, and then we've got no game until the Saturday after. So it's not too bad. But this is a game that we need to be looking over our shoulders in, because technically we win this. It also, without sounding disrespectful to Leicester, but it does drag you in there with us, so to speak.
Well, I was going to say to Craig, and I just saw this before I came live on the BBC website. We tried to look forward. Rodgers not thinking about relegation. I mean, as soon as he says that, you're going to start thinking about it, aren't you? And, when you look at the table, I mean, if we lose tomorrow to Burnley, literally 4 points behind us. We are being slowly pulled in, aren't we?
We are. I mean, a couple of things there. He's responding to a direct question that was asked of him. This is how media outlets work, don't they? They ask a question knowing that they have to give a certain answer, and then they'll just take the answer as a headline, and that's what's happened there. But yeah, I mean, I know we've got games in hand, but you'd always rather have points on the board. And I think we've been unlucky the last few weeks. We've had a couple of iffy performances, but we've been unlucky as well. What's annoyed me this weekend, I drove home tonight listening to Talk Sport again, having a good half an hour talking about the handball in the Man City Everton game, which was exactly the same as the West Ham handball, which took 2 points off us. But because it's Leicester or whatever, nobody's really interested. When it involves one of the big boys, it's half an hour to fill airtime, isn't it? It's
why do, and I say this as somebody, obviously I do go on occasionally as a guest on TalkSport, but why do we put ourselves through it? We know what they're going to be like, but I suppose it's not as bad as Radio 5 Live. Terry, good point here. I see this match as a barometer of each team prospects for the rest of the season. And Scott says still waiting on for Far. I see he's not in the under-23s game against Man City tonight. I'll come on to sort of injuries in a minute. I want to stick with you if I can do, Craig, and just bear with me here, Dan, because I had a bit of a shall we say, disagreement with Brad post Randers game.
You say that like it's a surprise.
Well, if we all sat here and went, yeah, you're right, no, you're right, yes, you're right, it'd be a boring show, wouldn't it?
Your Leicester's version of Stephen and Luca.
But they always come back to the same thing. I mean, it happened the other day. I was on Luca's show, and he did actually. They did start. Let's just leave it at that. Richard, how are you doing? So good evening to you. Happy Hammers. You won the other day. I had that down as a draw, so you bugged me up on a couple of fronts. But I was about to say, are you about to bottle top 4? I don't know. You're still up there. And it's all joking aside, I'd love to see you do it if we can't. But Craig, coming back to that away game to Randers, it was a dead-end rubber. Yep. We did score after 2 minutes, which literally killed the game off as a spectacle. But you're letting a side like that, which in fairness was probably the equivalent of League One, League Two for us, and you're letting them have 25 shots at goal. Now, people are saying, we should, if we'd have gone through, we'd have got Barcelona, we'd have beaten Barcelona. Barcelona had that many shots on goal, even with the way they've been playing recently. We'd have been 15-0 down or something. I mean, the performance worried me immensely.
I can understand that, and I didn't watch the game. I saw the highlights of it, and it was a little bit alarming at times, to be fair. But I think and I think this is this most teams. It's difficult to get yourself up for a game where you think you've already won it.
Yes,
you know, and that, we all know that that's wrong. But mentally, it's difficult, particularly once you get that first goal. That they switched off. They clearly switched off, didn't they? And it is worrying that there was that many chances given up. And on another day, you know, 1-2 of those would have been put away. But then you would have hoped that we would have had a kick up the backside and reacted to it. At the end of it, yes. Yeah, at the end of it, you've won a European tie 7-2, and you've done the job. So I get your point, but I've not dwelt on it, shall we say?
I kind of have, and I think I am the sort of very, you know, agreeing with what a lot of people seem to be saying in the press and what have you. And I think even though that they were, you know, they didn't put the shots away, it was just the fact that we couldn't pass. We were back to the Leicester of this season. And I'm sorry, against a team of that standard, if we play like that against Burnley on Tuesday, Burnley are going to stuff us.
Do you want to take that one?
I mean, you've got to feel confident, haven't you?
Yeah. What I'd say, sorry, Dan. What I would say is, you know, I don't like making excuses for my team, and I'm sure you're the same, Dan. You're pretty much a straight down the line guy. If you're crap, you're crap, and you'll say it. And I'm the same. We didn't play well. What annoys me more is that we have this mentality of not playing the conditions. You know, it was a crap pitch. So all you do on a crap pitch, you get the ball away from your goal as much as possible, and you go and lose it higher up the pitch. It's that mentality of never going against the game plan. You know, almost like they're too scared to do it. Even right at the end when we gave a goal away, passing around at the back. That's what annoys me more than anything.
Right, but in a lot of the game, Craig, we were booting the ball upfield. It was like I was watching Schmeichel thinking, what the hell is he doing? Before we just come on to Dan, Richard says there, and thank you for these kind words, Richard. The world of YouTube would be a far worse place without Chris, top man. Thank you. It's not going to stop me playing this, though, Richard. And I should just point out this point. Chubby Cox is no reference to Jake's dad at all. I do feel I need to cover myself. Sorry, Richard. It makes me giggle all the time, but then I'm a child. I mean, I don't know whether you saw the game, but that must have buoyed you. I mean, you know, you played badly or not. You played worse than I expected you to against Palace when we did the sort of watch along. Although, in fairness, I did most of it because you know when you go, what it's like. Craig, it was like having Ronnie Barker and Ronnie Corbett, and then Ronnie Barker goes off halfway during the show.
Honestly, everything that could have gone wrong, Craig, went wrong. Honestly, it was just one of them.
Well, what did you expect? You had Chris on for a start.
Well, I'm going on this show later, and just in case I'm needed, Dan, I've got the almost claret shirt for you. Hello, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Welcome to Turfmoorhouse TV. But you've got to be, I mean, you are a bit of a bogey team for us anyway, but you must be really up for this one because, I mean, you got the point against Palace. It was an average performance. I mean, you know, it could have gone either way, but you've really got to be looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. I said to you prior to the game kicking off, you know, I'd have took a point against Palace no matter what. I predicted 2-2. 1-1, I'll take it. If anything, Palace should feel more aggrieved. I think Palace deserved, you know, in that game to win it. We just did pretty well to see the game out. You've got to look at this game though. Come Tuesday night, it's under the lights. I'm hoping it's pissing down as well because that just helps. It's just that everything goes in your favour. It sort of just seems to work. But
it's not the place you want to go on a cold winter's night. You hope you're going to be drawn against Burnley, unlike the last game of the season in May on a Saturday afternoon. Terry, it's 4 points, I think we just said would be behind, or Burnley would be behind us. Richard, I'm going to a bit of a nippon question there. Who is home tomorrow night? Not Burnley versus Leicester. Not saying a word. And talking of which, little nippers in. Well, he always comes in on the early shows. It's before his bedtime, bless him. Did you see that he'd done a may I say, a lot sadder version of the hot chip challenge with a KFC Zinger burger?
I can't say I saw that, to be fair.
No, you have a look. And you don't see him eat the whole thing, so it's a bit dodgy, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, controversial.
Yeah, West, you know, you would say that. You would say that.
Stick together, Jake.
This is it. This is it. Are you top four still, West Ham? Oh, no, you're not. You're in fifth. Bottling it, mate, bottling it. Richard says, still prefer Dan's channel now. Yeah, was that the watch along where Dan legged it down for a pint down the pub? Let's have a look at some of the... I'm going to have to bring this up first of all, but let's just... Richard said, I paid for it. I made sure he ate it. Hello, Miss Molina. Thank you for the other night for coming on. Hope you are well. You got to score down to find Leicester. You certainly have. It'll give you bad neck, mate. And the word you're looking for, like you say, there is scroll. Do they not teach you anything in school these days? But, I'm sorry, Dan, I'd forgotten I'd got that picture up. Burnley's, here we go. Burnley's top scorer, despite what I put up on the video printer earlier, Maxwell Cornet has recovered from the foot issue that caused him to miss the last two games. And Ashley Westwood is available after COVID, but Eric Peters is set for a scan on his knee, and Vidra and Gudmundsson both miss out. Worried about any of those? Are the big losses for you?
There's pictures of Johan Berg Gudmundsson in a foot brace, to be fair. He'd had a bit of a hernia problem, which had been sorted out. Thought that he were back on the grass and everything. He weren't far off coming back, but he seems to have had a freak accident not long after it. And he'll probably be out now for the rest of the season.
Right.
The Eric Peters, obviously, we saw him in the watch along. You know, he kicked the ball out, lifted his hand up and said, like, I'm sort of done. So I can understand him not being involved, but perfect timing for Charlie Taylor to come back in as well. Westwood had a bit of a cameo towards the end of that game, so I'm glad to see that he'll be back. The thing is, Cornet started really well. Now I'm a little bit worried because the last 2 or 3 games he doesn't seem to have been as involved. And I don't know whether that's because of the new striker. You know, when he was up top with Chris Wood, he sort of had a bit more freedom with having a striker that played off the shoulder, where now he's got a striker that drops into the midfield and he sort of is left flapping up top. It's
like
strange.
West Ham.
It is strange. I mean, I'd love to see him back in there because no matter what, you know, he's got them moments of magic in his locker. So
there's magic in them there boots, Craig. Craig, I didn't realise that. Keep posting the comments because if I do that, it actually hides Dan.
It does.
So that's a double purpose there. In fairness, Dan, let me move you up, and there we go. Jake, what do you think of Chris's 25-minute intro videos? It's called professional. It's called professional. Something, of course, being from Somerset and chewing on straw.
Yeah, but Chris, the credits are meant to be at the end.
No, I don't, because everybody pisses off before they don't watch the credits. Craig, I'm a little bit worried that people are pinning a lot of hopes on this. The fact that Leicester City will welcome back Jamie Vardy, who's been sidelined since December with a hamstring issue. He is getting on a bit now. So, I mean, you know, he is taking probably twice as long to recover as he used to. Richard Piera also returns, but it is too soon for Wesley Fofana. Somebody was asking that earlier. I mean, I don't remember Jamie Vardy been on brilliant form before he got injured.
No, he did. He'd started the season really well. He was right up there as one of the league's top scorers, but then he had a little bit of a dip. I mean, he ran himself into the ground, I think, in that Liverpool game. And to be honest, he's damaged himself coming back on, because we would have been down to 10 men. I think that was the game where he played on when he really shouldn't have done, to try and see out that win. Remember the days when we used to be able to see out a 1-0 win?
Yeah, it seems a while ago, to be honest with you. Yes.
Yeah. So I think he'll be on the bench. To me, I can't see him starting at all. I think he'll be on the bench and he'll be brought on if and when we need him. It'd be good to see Pereira back.
Yeah.
I think we'll need it. You know, it's a tricky game to call, this one, because, you know, and again, no disrespect, you've got to match Burnley's work rate. And that's something we've never really managed to do. You know, if you can match the work rate, then you would hope that we have got a little bit more quality, and you would hope that would come through. But you've got to stick in the game long enough. And that's my worry. So I think we've got to see out that sort of first 20 minutes, half an hour, and then try and work our way into the game. Because, you know, pretty well it's probably going to be wet, it's going to be cold, it's going to be everything that a lot of our players don't like.
Yes. Yeah.
So you know, it's a barometer for what bottle we've got, to be honest.
And I've never known anywhere wetter or colder than Burnley, I'll tell you. You're on form today, Jake. I'm not liking it. I'm gonna have to mute you in a minute. I mean, Craig, I'm going to ask you both this same question. I'm going to come to you first, Craig. Didn't play at the weekend because obviously Chelsea, and what a shame. Well, I've got to just say, what a shame about Kepa. I mean, how disappointing after the way he wouldn't come off. The other goalkeeper came off for him. He just deserves this, I think. And I've got to say, there is a God, because I was praying that he would miss his spot kick, you know.
Yeah, I mean, every penalty, wasn't it? He was standing there in front of the ball, trying to make out he was some sort of psycho professional or whatever. Didn't get near any of them, let's face it. And to be honest, you've got to question Tuchel. That is a weird decision. You've got Mendy, who's, you know, he fills a lot more of the goal than Kepa does, that's for sure. And I don't think he'd done anything wrong to warrant being taken off there. And I bet he could smash a penalty. Hopefully they've got the ball back. But
I'd just like to say, karma is a bitch, Kepa.
Yeah, I know. It was a shame. It was a shame.
But like I say, we didn't play. Burnley did. Do you think that's going to work in our favour?
I would hope so, to be honest. I would hope so, because as Dan was saying, you've had quite a few games to fit in recently, and you've been having your fixtures fitted in, whereas we haven't. I would hope so. I think it's given the likes of Justin, given the likes of Pereira a little bit longer to get themselves match ready. I would hope that we're sort of raring at the bit to get going and almost kickstart the season now. It's almost like we've had a little midwinter break, and we need to show what we're made of. So I think it should help us, to be honest.
How do you feel, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a bit lethargic, really. The fact that we've played so many games in such quick succession. It could be a case of, you know, not the professional footballers, they shouldn't be tired legs sort of thing, but you know that sometimes momentum helps, but sometimes too many games quick, you know, thick and fast can derail you a little bit. So you having the bit of a break may perk you up, to be honest, for this game. I'm worried, you know, as Craig alluded to, that this is a game that you don't touch. If you walk into bookies and you put in a bet on, you don't touch this game. if you look at past results, you don't touch it.
I think it's going to be a Burnley win.
You're only saying that because every time you say Burnley win, we get beat. So
exactly. I'm doing Steve Lynex's philosophy. Craig, we've got Leeds on the weekend, and
you can let us have this on Tuesday. Then you can thrash them arseholes at weekend.
Would you take 4 points from those two games?
Probably. I'd probably take a point at Burnley at the minute and beat Leeds, to be honest, because, again, with no disrespect, I would imagine Sean Dyche's team talk is going to be pretty easy. Get the ball down the other end, get corners and free kicks and put it in the box. I mean, it's made for you, to be honest, isn't it? Because we are shocking. We're shocking with balls coming into the box. And you got Tarkowski, me, Weghorst, people who attack the ball. There's been a lot of talk on here about, in the past 18 months about, we've been after Tarkowski, every transfer window. But for me, Ben Mee's the strength in that partnership.
100% agree with you, Craig. Well said.
Yeah. He's aggressive all the time. He talks. I think I don't know why all the talk's been about Tarkowski, to be honest, because I think Ben Mee is the ideal sort of player that we could go with. We want someone who can talk and organise people around him. I think Ben Mee is a really, really underrated player.
Obviously, I know you agree with that, Dan, because you were praising Ben Mee the other night.
Yeah. As I've said numerous times, no matter who is put at the side of Ben Mee, end up turning into class players. We had Michael Duffer in the latter stages of his career when we got promoted, ended up playing into his late 30s, 37, 38. Now, manager of Cheltenham, but he kept him going, turned him from a 30-odd-year-old that's just having his first kicks in the Premier League. Same with Michael Keane, turned him into an England player, turned Tarkowski into an England player, and how he's been overlooked. And you've got the likes of Tyrone Mings and Ben White and shit like that. And you just think, Simple as that, Chris. Simple as that.
What can I say to that? It's a Burnley saying, I'm kind of distracted because Scott and Jake having a bit of a mini bit of a ding dong in the old chat. Anthony, we're going to look at the scores. We're going to do predictions later. But talking of scores, I mean, I don't know who wants to sort of have a look at this first, but of course we did meet earlier in the season. And it was a 2-2. And, of course, Jamie, you've already got a hat-trick, Craig.
Yeah, I know, unfortunately. I mean, we got a late equaliser there. It was it wasn't the best of games, was it, to be fair? I think, a bit. Having said that, they rarely are. I can't remember many games between the two of us that you thought, wow, that's a really, really entertaining game of football. They're sort of... they're results that are ground out by you or by us, to be honest. But yeah, we need something to kickstart our season again, I think, and we need to start sooner than later, as you said, because you don't want to start looking over your shoulder. These teams are just hovering behind us. You don't want to be playing them and giving points away. So if we can maintain that gap against Burnley, I'd take a draw, as I said, and then we need to turn up against Leeds at the weekend.
Your thoughts on? I mean, I think we're home to Leeds, aren't we? So that's an advantage. Your thoughts on that first cane, Dan, and we'll leave Max Corney out of the conversation. But your thoughts on the game as a whole?
To be fair, when I came onto your opposition review, I think a day or so later, I even said to you, that you were spot on. What Cornet did was wrong. Yeah. He shouldn't have shuffled his arse back onto the pitch. He knew what he did. And I was totally with you on that. I'm just hoping for a bit of luck goes in our favour this time. I mean, the season before that, we had a goal ruled out. Chris Wood, apparently a push on Johnny Evans. And then we had the late...
Oh, it was clear. It was a clear push, that was. You didn't really need VAR, did you, Craig? Come on.
Well, there was also the late Chris Wood goal in that fixture, weren't there? That was very similar to Vardy's goal in the 85th minute, or first one, I'm not sure, where we're sort of on the shoulder and it was a case of, do you give it, do you not?
Yeah.
So we felt a little bit begrudged on that as well. So I don't know. Obviously, there's no Chris Wood this time, so surely there should be no offsides.
I think the season.
And don't call me Shirley.
I think the season before, if I remember rightly, Chris Wood took a ride on the back of James Justin and headed one in at the back post.
Yeah. No, fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, you know, what all we're saying is they're usually physical games that go on fine margins, and I don't expect this to be.
You sound like Sean Dash now, Craig. Fine margins, a game at a time.
I remember the Leicester Burnley when we played each other in the promotion year, and when we both came up, and Chris Wood scored an absolute
worldie against us.
I was, as you always like to say, I was in hospitality. Dan, and there was only me jumped up.
I was in the Jimmy McElroy upper, and just seeing it from that distance, just looking at the pitch lengthways, you sort of just like, whoa. And you're a bit like, Christ. And then when we signed him, we're like, oh, fair play.
As you do. 13 times we've played in the Premier League. You've won 3, we've won 6, which is, I think, is probably about right. We've only won 2 away, but you've won all your 3 at home. So again, does that work in your favour, Dan? I do think home advantage at Burnley, because of the sort of ground it is and how open it is, does play a big part for you.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get back to our best at Turfmoor. You know, the beginning of the season wasn't great. We started flat-footed, as we've done season in, season out while we've been in the Premier League, but we're starting to find a bit of form back at the turf, and as you say, a cold Tuesday night, a bit of a very windy, hard rain slapping your chops. It's not the not what these footballers will be expecting. That's for sure.
Isn't it great, Dan, that you can describe yourselves now as the new Stoke? Nobody wants to go away to Turfmoor on a cold, wet Tuesday night.
If the wind gets up there and Dan knits to the toilet, it's not the rain that's going to be slapping your chops, I'll tell you. Craig, the Leicester have lost their last 4 away league games, conceding at least twice on every occasion. We haven't won at all this year. It's a worrying trend. Well, not in the Premier League. It's a worrying trend, isn't it?
All I can say, Chris, is don't apply for a job with the Samaritans, please. find a little nugget of good news in there somewhere, please.
Leicester are the only side without an away clean sheet. Is that any good? Shipping 25 goals in 11 games on the road. Brendan Rodgers' side have conceded in each of their last 18 Premier League away fixtures. The Leicester have had 16 fewer points than they did at this stage last season. Is any of this helping at all?
Yeah, just turn the lights out. We'll go.
As Kate says to Dan, just pull my night dress down when you're finished. Leicester have won 40% of their top flight games. But Mark Albrighton is set to make his 300th Premier League appearance. So some good news at the end there.
Great. I'm sure we'll all trade 3 points for that.
Dan, I mean, if we look at, let's have a look. Burnley have taken 7 points from their last 3 Premier League games, 1, 2, drawn 1, as well as they had from their previous 11. Again, that shows the turnaround in form. Burnley have conceded 30 league goals this season. Sean Dyche are 1 short of 50 Premier League wins at Turfmoor. Oh, great. That's all we want. The opposition to go for
there
a
you
record.
go. That's what you wanted, Craig. There's your bit of good news.
Great.
Who best can you play? Let's bring Leicester in. They're on a Premier League record streak of 117 consecutive matches without a red card since Robbie Brady was sent off at Huddersfield Town in January 2019.
How have you managed that?
I don't know, because the stats from the stats against Crystal Palace were shocking. I think total fouls were Crystal Palace were something like 4 Burnley's were 17, and there were not one card dished out in that game.
No.
It's almost like the referees are appalling.
You can't say that, can you?
No, sorry.
You know.
You can't say that.
No,
I'm going to be cancelled. Have Mike Riley knocking at the door.
Scott, I mean, Jonathan, I don't know if you ever watch ITV4.
Chris is shitting himself in case Mr. Riley turns up at the door. Tell you that.
ITV4, and they had like the big match revisited, and they had Elton Wellesby on, who obviously is a friend of the channel as well, presenting sort of the big match. And even then you had referees like George Courtney, and I don't think they were a lot better then. I think it's
they weren't, but I think they were.
The game was more
consistent.
simplistic.
Yeah,
the game was more simplistic. You could just let the game play out. You know, it was the bog standard rules. If it touches your hand, it's handball. That's it. Yeah. You know, as they say, season in, season out. You don't change. Don't change something if it's not broken. However, you can't. You keep chopping and changing season in, season out. These referees, when they're on holiday, don't know their arse from their hands when they come back.
Yeah. It's true, especially when it comes to handball. Dan, Scott asked there, how much luck do you want Vardy help? How much luck do you want Vardy helped you last time around? It's true. And then Terry says, I saw Burnley as a pushover early season, not anymore though. Well, when they were a pushover, we couldn't beat them. So we're going to struggle now. I'm going to be honest with you. I am a little bit worried. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know, we talked about it earlier, but this is the form going in to the game. No win in 5 for us there, Craig. More good news.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those. So Spurs we threw away. That game finishes 2 minutes earlier.
If only where's an African referee when you need one?
Yeah. So that game finishes 2-3 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
We have 3 points.
Yes.
Okay. Brighton, late goal again. Liverpool, fair enough, got played off the park. West Ham, handball goal. Wolves played pretty well, to be honest, and deserved something from that game. I think the stark results and points tally doesn't reflect how we've played in those games. You can call us naive. You can call us sort of lackadaisical at times, but we haven't been that far away from getting another 4, 5, 6 points in those games. What we need is our little bit of luck to turn, and maybe, you know, everything that can go wrong does tend to go wrong for us. You'll just hope that at some point it is going to even itself out.
It is one of those seasons, isn't it? The thing that annoyed me, and when I went back about the performance against Randers away, is against West Ham and Wolves. Yes, we didn't get the results, but the performances were a lot better, you know. And everybody went on about, you know, the Liverpool game. We only lost 2-0, and weren't we playing well? Well, you know, as Liverpool were only in first gear. I think if they'd put the effort in, it could have been a lot more. Your form, Dan. Sorry, you managed to draw with Man United, which was no mean feat in fairness. You lost to Liverpool again. You know, I think
we had the best. We had the best in that game as well.
Yeah,
as I say, the turning point for our form has to be that second half against Manchester United, which we just turned our season upside down. We've had a few of those where we just need them little moments of magic, them turning points that seem to pay off for you. And getting that point against United, we sort of took some momentum from it. As I say, we only lost 1-0 to Liverpool from a set piece. You know, they score from a corner. Then you go down to Brighton, a team who have only lost 5 all season, and then, you know, you turn up there and do them over. The Spurs game, completely unexpected.
Love you for that.
Honest to God, that Spurs game was just a big shock. I don't even think we let Spurs be the Spurs that they were the week before against Manchester City. They couldn't attack us, they couldn't press, they couldn't get forward. You know, Harry Kane were having to take pot shots from range. And then the game against Palace, it felt like we just sort of reverted back to the sort of a bit lackluster, You know, a bit lethargic, a bit tired. So I'm hoping that obviously come Tuesday night it'll be a different story. But this is the sort of game where, as much as it's not a rivals fixture, form goes out of the window for me.
Oh, it's a rivals game for me because I follow Nippon's strategy when it comes to rivals. So to me, this is a local derby. Craig, I mean, what Burnley said, what Dan said there about Burnley is they'd had a draw against Man United, a loss against Liverpool, but they took that performances and then turned those into wins. That's something we haven't done all season. And I have to be honest with you. I mean, I did that show the other day about should we have Rodgers in or Rodgers out? And I'm very much in and, judging when we've got a full, fully fit squad. Is he almost, if you like, he hasn't complained about the injuries? Would it be better if he did? Because every other manager, with Klopp would be having babies by now with all our injuries. And if he'd come out and said that, do you think people would be going, yeah? Because when you actually sit down and you say, like, as I did with you the week, the 9 defenders that we've had injured, people, bloody hell, seriously.
Yeah, I think that's just not his style, is it? I think those in the know, and those who are not don't care, to be honest. It's just been really disappointing, hasn't it, that we've not been able to keep a team for what seems like from game to game. There's been changes all the way through, and unless you can have that consistency, I don't know what it's been like, Dan, whether during that run of games whether you've had a consistent team, but that doesn't half help, when you've got most of your best players on the pitch at the same time. And that we've just literally not done it. If we get one player back, another one goes down injured. And sometimes I don't think Brendan helps himself, with his team selections and chops and changes a little bit. So, he's not entirely blameless.
He's not making those changes because he wants to. It's because, like we said, he has to. Like we say, Vestergaard, it's like, who am I playing with at the back this week? I'll introduce you. Yeah, that just hasn't been settled, and he can't pick the same team week in, week out because we've never had one.
No, but I think it would have been in some ways better if it at least settled on a formation, and then tried to drop players. Because when you change formation because you've got certain players in or out, it almost says that I don't trust the players I'm putting in, that I'm going to have to go more defensive, because I don't trust them. So, I'm not sure what that does. I think for me, you have a way of playing, you have an identity, and you don't change it. Let the opposition worry about you.
Yes, totally.
Brendan, for me, is one of those managers who tends to try and outthink the other manager. So, it's all on him.
And ends up overthinking it.
Exactly.
In a way. Dan, you've got, 12 draws there. And we've said, like, those are, if you turn some of those into wins, you'd probably be around us, if not above us. But like Craig said, then when you were going through that patch of being, in the bottom, well, still in the bottom 3, but, towards nearer the bottom, at the bottom, was it a regular team that Dyche was putting out? Or did he stick with the players?
Yeah, I don't think he's really changed much. The only sort of turning point is Weghorst really coming in instead of Chris Wood. We've gone from knocking a ball up top to a big lad who's playing on the shoulder of the last defender to almost sort of having our wingers now trying to bomb on when your striker cuts back, sort of like Harry Kane tries to help out, orchestrate the midfield, get your wingers bombing on and trying to take something from that. But, we've changed that sort of philosophy, but that doesn't mean that the formation's changed. Sometimes it does. I think, Rodriguez is getting a run of games. Everyone sort of thought Rodriguez is finished, myself included. I thought him and Barnes would be out the door, but there's this resurgence from him working with Weghorst. Their link-up plays really well. I can't really say that there's anything I can pinpoint where there's been a change. It's been the same team. The only changes is obviously Connor Roberts has been in at right back for Matt Lawton and Phil Bardsley because They've been out with injuries, but even Matt Lawton's been, sort of now benched, and he was our ever present at the beginning of the season.
Terry says here, rumour has it Vestergaard playing number 9 position tomorrow. I've kind of changed my feelings towards Vestergaard because he didn't do bad, certainly in the first Randers game, and I think it's been a confidence thing with him because I've not been his biggest fan, far from it, but he's not come into a settled back four at all. Like I say, he has to be introduced to his, his defensive partners every week.
At Southampton, he had it pretty much straightforward, weren't it? Him and Jan Bednarek at the back, and that was it. There were no one else sort of slotted in there. So you've got to feel for your back line, to be honest, because as you say, it's chop change. It's almost like Fashion Week, when they're coming out in one outfit, coming out in another the next.
Yeah, David says there, Craig. We love the ball. We love the ball with speed and aggression, but to me, our Achilles' heel is we're not a robust team. Craggs is our most aggressive, tough player. Do you think he's got a point?
I've been saying that. I think I said this last year, to be honest, that we lack aggression. We're not an aggressive team. We allow ourselves to be bullied. And I don't think he's addressed that in either of the windows that we've had, to be honest. He wants to play football. He's like a purist at heart, Brendan. But even the likes of Klopp know to do that, you've got to be robust. None of his midfield players are really great ball players, are they? They tend to go, their best ball players are their fullbacks. You look across that centre midfield, Henderson, Thiago may be okay, but the other players who play in there are not great ball players. They're not threading passes through. They're a robust team who smother the opposition in the middle of the pitch and then give the ball to the better players. We're not like that at all. We all want to be little ball players playing little fancy balls around the corner, and you can't do that in every game. You've got to win that midfield battle first, and that's going to be a worry tomorrow.
It is. And I did ask you both before we came on, yesterday, to sort of pick a one to watch from both teams. And I think you'd have both gone for a different player if you knew they were definitely going to be on the pitch. But the two that you've gone for, and we'll have a chat about them. And I just want to say that people might accuse me of always picking on Cornet for being on the floor and scraping his bum back onto the pitch, but it's not just Cornet. Apparently, it seems that all Burnley players are trained to do it.
You bastard.
You've got, and he's not been with you long. He's obviously welcome to Burnley. This is what you do, lad. Unless he gets on the pitch and put your bum down and delay the game. But I couldn't resist that one, mate, when I saw that picture. But Dan, you've gone for Lookman as one to watch for you. What impresses you about Lookman?
Just everything about his game. He's a speed merchant, but he's got an end product to him as well. I was pretty gutted when he went to you instead of coming to us. We didn't want to stump up the cash for the loan move. You did, simple as that. And I bet you're glad you are. I think you guys need to go all out and make it permanent in the summer. He's just a all-round class act, and I think Leicester is his ideal level. He weren't going to get in and start fighting for his place at Everton and places like that. So yeah, I really like the look of Lookman, and there's just something about him. He just scares the shit out of me when he plays because there's just that moment of trickery, a bit of pace, and you're knackered.
Yeah,
and they don't need baby oil either.
Well, certainly not on the pitch. What he does in his private life, of course, is up to himself. But Craig, I mean, for the first time, I think we've got somebody who we're not sat here saying, "Oh God, I wish we'd got Mahrez back." Oh God, do you remember when we had Mahrez? We've always had that gap to try and fill. But Lookman, we probably didn't have the money to buy him in the summer. And in fairness, let's face it, you can get him on loan for a season and see what he's like. But we've got to go and get him, haven't we?
I think, well, yes, I guess so. I tell you what, I'd love us to go and push the boat out and go and get that kid from Palace. I think he's the real deal.
Conor Gallagher.
No, Elise on the right hand side, who loves to cut in on his left. He looks a real prospect. Yeah, Conor Gallagher's brilliant.
He set up the first goal the other night as well.
Yeah, I mean, he looks a really positive player. I really like him, but we didn't get him. You know, that's they took the plunge. Lookman's been decent. You know, it frustrates me a little bit because he does have a game where he doesn't look interested if it doesn't go well for him. You know, but I guess at some point he needs to find a home. I think that's the thing with Lookman. Yeah. He needs to find somewhere that he knows he's wanted. And he's not going to be in a relegation battle every year. Hopefully we're not. But, you know, that's what he was at Fulham. You know, it didn't work out at Leipzig. He looks like the kind of player who needs to be loved. You know, one of those. And I think Brendan's probably the best manager to do that, you know, by all accounts.
Yeah.
He does that. He likes to put his arm around his shoulder. So it will come down to how much they want for him. I think, you know, Brendan's already come out and said he's looking to have a bit of an overhaul. So, you know, he's going to want to get value for money if he's looking at 4 or 5 players. So it will depend. I don't think we'll pay more than 20 million for him.
Whether he's worth more than 20 million, of course, that's the other question.
Yeah,
when you look
at the value of players. Ask for it.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we're going to have a bit of money, well, a lot of money to spend when Mr. Tielemans leaves, which I think we accept is going to happen. For me, Lookman is better off the bench when he comes on and he can change a game. When he seems to start a game, it doesn't seem. I say those seem to be the games when he doesn't play quite as well.
I think sometimes he's looked to me like a player. He's had his best performances when he's been trusted, if that makes sense. So the Liverpool game, for instance, he played a lot of that down the middle as the central striker. So Brendan said, "Go and do a job for me." And he put in a fantastic, you know, he scored the goal, but his work rate was phenomenal from that position. Dropping back in, not letting them sort of play little balls into midfield. You know, he was working his socks off in that game. So, again, it's one of those where Brendan's gone out and said, right, I trust you to go and do this job. Go and show me that you can do it. And he does it well. He's still fairly young, so he's got room for improvement as well.
Yeah. And you picked, we didn't. You picked Mr. All My Knees Hurting. I must have just rubbed it on a blade of grass. Very coarse there. What's him? I mean, he's not been at Burnley that long. What's impressed you about him?
No, I'm going to say I would have picked Cornet if I knew that he was playing. I think he is a class act, and I can't. The left winger who I forget his name every time. He's not had as good a season this season.
Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, that's it. You know, he seems to have had a bit of a dip this season. I'm not sure if that's the case, just from what I've seen. But I think he's a great player as well. It may be, and I know you won't like me to hear that, it may be that he had his head turned a little bit by a lot of people looking at him. Maybe he needs a move. And also, before we
Sean Dash dropped him recently, Craig. He dropped him against Liverpool, and he weren't happy about it. And then I think on the Tuesday midweek, he actually said, or sometime midweek, he said to Dash, "I want to play in the under-23s game. I need football."
Right.
And then he said, "Listen, I'm prepared to get my head down and do a job." You know, I think Dash had actually sat down with him and said, "Listen, you've looked a bit off it in recent weeks. You know, maybe you just need a bit of time away." So the way he's reacted to that, even just for being dropped that one game, recent fixtures, he's looked decent.
Yeah. That's good. And we already talked about me, and Josh Brownhill, I think, has had a decent season as well in there. But Weghorst, I think he's just giving you a little bit of something different. He's, you know,
Dutch courage.
That must be it. But his record, he was playing in the Bundesliga, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah.
He was right up there in terms of goals and assists. I think, you know, behind Lewandowski, but nobody.
Yeah, second behind Lewandowski. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody seemed to want to come and take a risk on him. Whether they thought, oh, he's just a big lad, you know, we don't play that way.
He was linked to Arsenal in the summer. He was linked to Arsenal the summer just gone. So
yeah, right. I mean, you've got him. I mean, and it sounds like a bit of a bargain. I don't think you paid over the odds for him at all, have you?
No, 12 million.
I mean, for a Premier League striker, 12 million is nothing, isn't it? And I think from what I've seen, I've not seen a lot of him, but from what I've seen, he looks like he's got a bit of a striker's instinct to me. He's not just standing there like, you know, Chris Wood would. You know what Chris Wood's going to do? He's going to stand up there, get the ball, lay it off, but then he's also going to peel away and try and find the smallest defender out the back four and go and stand next to him. That's Chris Wood, which is fine. But I think Weghorst gives you a little bit more. His movement looks better, and he looks like he likes to come in and arrive in the box. His timing is more of a natural goal scorer to me from what I've seen of him. So, yeah, he could be a danger tomorrow.
Good move for you, Dan. I mean, you sold Chris Wood for, was it 25? You got Weghorst in for 12, and you know, I think you've got the better player now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. I think we've got a player that's got a bit of flair. It's very rare when you see a player that's over 6'6", who can. Okay, he's not blessed with pace, but he's got that technical ability with his feet, which is something Chris Wood didn't have. So it brings other people into play. For me, I'm not so worried about the fact of if he doesn't get 20 goals a season. As long as he brings others into the fray and gives them a chance at goal, that's as good as a striker's job for me. Bringing other people in.
I think indeed he's going to have a big role to play tomorrow night, because he's the one who plays in front of the back four, sits at the base of the midfield, and we know that Weghorst likes to drop into that space. So I think it's going to be really important that indeed he's aware of that and tries to block the balls coming into him.
I'll tell you one thing that I guarantee will happen now. Whatever the scoreline is at the end of the day, Weghorst will score against us, because every time Craig picks a one to watch, he ends up as the opposition's man of the match. So, I'm a fool to myself for asking, really, aren't I? Now, I have to be honest with you. I've forgotten to ask the players to do a score prediction for tomorrow's game, because it's come up on us so quickly. But so I'm going to ask you two guys instead. First of all, as the home team, I know your heart's going to say one thing, your head's going to say the other. But go with your head. What do you see this score?
Again, I'd probably take another point. Mm-hmm. And I know that it seems silly to say. I mean, really, we should be going out to win this, knowing that we've got Chelsea at the weekend, which is a free hit. So I'd take a point. However, being at home on Tuesday night, I'm going to say 2-1, close affair.
Craig, with your head, which way do you see this going? Well, on what scoreline do you see?
I've just got a sneaky feeling that we're going to get a result here. You know, that
there's a few teams that's come to Burnley and we've just rolled out the red carpet and gone, welcome to Turfmoor. You know, Don't even wipe your feet on way out. Just take the points and fuck off, will you? That's it. Not how it's been.
Yeah, I could just see, Barnes and Maddison with that little bit of class that they've got. I've just got this funny feeling that we're going to come out with a 3-1.
Yeah. Okay. David, good evening. Can I just say, just remember, when the fun stops, stop. Of course, what you meant to type was that. Had a few, have we? Had a few. I'm going to go with my head, and I'm going to say 5-0 Leicester, because I think we know. I'm not joking about.
We all know which head you're thinking with, Chris.
Well, at least I think. It's going to be a tough one. We are going to concede a goal. I'm never going to predict a clean sheet for Leicester. I do worry that this has Weghorst scored at home yet, or has he got his goals away?
No, he's only had the one away from home.
So I've got a feeling this is probably with Leicester. You've got the record to go for. What was it? However many wins or whatever it is, 500th win. oh, you're playing Leicester, you're going to get it. But yes, I would be happy with the draw, but I just hope that Leicester go into this with the performance that we saw against West Ham and Wolves, and not the performance we saw against Randers, or the first performance against Randers would be okay. And I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester. I can't remember what I did when you sneaked it in on me on the last minute on the prediction show the other week, because it wasn't really this week's games. It's a
It is. This fixture is still classed as this weekend. It's still classed as a double game week. For Burnley, it's classed as a double game week. So
it's a rearranged feature match. It's not.
But we've not done the prediction show on my channel when the first fixture was cast about. So
what did I go for?
You didn't put a scoreline, but you and Brad obviously went for Leicester, and me and Kate went for Burnley.
And who's actually leading your prediction league at the moment?
Altogether, you by a point.
Point? No. You just
no, I'm just saying. As of
Chris,
this game, Chris. This game could, if Burnley win, could bring Kate level.
But she won't overtake me. She's a woman driver. They don't overtake, do they? They just sit there. Sorry, it's a joke, everybody. It's a joke before you start going.
You sexy pig.
Did you say sexy or sexist?
I'll let him sit there for an hour and ponder on that one.
Okay, Dan, tell everybody thanks for coming on.
All right.
It's always a, what's the word I'm looking for? Hassle. But tell everybody where they can find you, and more often than not, me as well.
Yeah, if Chris isn't on my channel, I'm on Chris's, as I will be tomorrow and Wednesday. I am looking forward to that. First and foremost, thank you again for having me on. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining in.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
I don't know any other Burnley fan.
You can catch me at Turfmoorhouse, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and on all major podcast platforms.
And like I say, I will be over on your channel, Turfmoorhouse TV, at 9 o'clock, doing all this again. I have been recording it, so I'll just replay that if that's okay. Like I say, just in case it's needed, I have got the old, almost claret shirt there.
LTD, lazy twit in disguise. Is that what it stands for?
Very close.
It's a lot worse than that, I'll tell you. I'll take that.
God, I'm never clever with my vowels.
No. I'm going nowhere with this because it's too early. We'll wait until your show, then we'll go down that route.
Oh, Dan, of course we will. Of course we will. I've already got YouTube warnings.
It's been a pleasure for you, I'm sure. Thank you so much for coming on. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 7:15. I don't know why I'm doing this, because every time I do it, we lose, but we're doing a watch-along Burnley-Leicester. And it's actually nice because we do it with a fan from the opposing team, which in this case, of course, is Daniel, because the cricket end weren't available. And we'll be doing that watch along, and that should be a little bit, well, if everything works. It didn't work the other day, but fingers crossed. Dan, I will see you at 9. Thank you very much.
Certainly will. Thanks for having me, and speak to you soon, Craig.
Yeah,
all
cheers,
the best.
See you soon.
Bye. How unconfident do you feel? I know you've said you're going to go for 3-1, but
yeah, that's a totally non-confident 3-1.
Yes.
It's more a gut feeling that we're going to turn things around and have a good end to the season.
Do you think we're going to get drawn into that? I mean, I've said I'm backing Brendan. I think he's got to be here next season. He's got to give the chance to rebuild. It's one season out of 3 that he's not had a good season. Yeah. And when you look at what we've suffered this season, look at Everton, look how the Leeds from last season to this season. But, we can't get away from the fact that when we drop further and further down the table, forget Europe, that's what was Ranieri's
But the thing I would say is that, you know, the teams below us have been on good runs. You know, usually teams in the bottom sort of 4, 5 or 6 can't maintain good runs for this length of time. So chances are that isn't going to, that they're not going to be able to maintain that, you know. And we've been on a bad run, so you would hope at some point we're going to turn that round. So I'd be
We've been saying that every week all season, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just been one of those, isn't it? You just want to, you just want to get the season over with, you know, put it away in the drawer, forget about it, and then go again next season.
Well, fingers crossed we can. As always, Greg, thank you so much. Your details are in the description along with Dan's. Fingers crossed for tomorrow, like I say. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you on Friday for the Leeds preview. I don't know if you're available for that. And then obviously next Monday, it's a big fat football quiz too. And
it is.
I've been setting the questions, and like you say, don't bother revising. It isn't going to help you at all.
Well, as you said on many occasions, nobody's won 2 in a row. So,
well, fingers crossed for you. And you are up against Dan, who even lost to Jake, the 14-year-old, which is why I refuse to take Jake on in a quiz, because I ain't losing to a 14-year-old. But fingers crossed he'll do it for Leicester.
Yes.
Don't do it for Yorkshire. Do it for Leicester. Craig, thank you very much, young man. I'll see you later in the week. Stay safe and all the best of your family.
Cheers. Thanks. Cheers, everyone.
So thanks, everybody. 9 o'clock, get over to Turfmoorhouse TV. Like I say, we're going to do this all over again. And then tomorrow night for the watch-along. Get the beers in, get a bit of chocolate, put it on the telly, and have us on and potentially down the pub, and we'll have a chat about the game as it goes along. Probably a bit of bad language as well. Please, please, please do this for me.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform, or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Please do subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and joining into chat. Thanks to everybody that joined in. Thanks to Scott for being in there moderating for me. And thanks to everybody else who joined in. I suppose I've even got to thank Jake and Richard, the Hammers fans, haven't I? I'll edit that bit out. They'll never know. And, if you've been listening to this on the podcast form, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to go off. I've got to go and have a change, rub down with a wet Daily Mail and get ready for the show at 9. And like I said, I'll see you back here tomorrow night, 7:15 for the watch along. Good night, stay safe, and don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.